morning, everyone. How are we all today? Oh, goodness. I hope you're all doing well. Let that music kind of fade out on us. There we go. Ah, my. Good morning, good morning. I apologize for the false start. I finally figured out what was causing it. I was about to lose my mind if I couldn't figure out what was causing my stream to just up and die on me every time I started it. So it turns out that when I would start my stream, I'm gonna move you all a little bit there. It turns out when I would start my stream, whenever I stream on Twitch for like Hades, I only stream on Twitch, right? I don't put it on this channel. I only do it on Twitch. And then I upload the VODs onto my other YouTube channel, which is Game Master of SoTech. You should go check it out and subscribe if you haven't already. Anyway, so whenever it's time to stream like Total War or a Warhammer game, where I need to stream on YouTube and Twitch, I use Restream. Well, it turns out, apparently, that when I would use Restream, it normally was fine auto-detecting what server to bounce off of to, you know, upload the stream. Well, every time I would turn on my stream, after switching back to Restream, it would proceed to, I would have about 300 frames per second, or 300 frames per, 300 kilobytes per second, which is not good. That is not good at all. You know, I like to have like 6,000, and it was struggling to do 300, and I was like, what is happening? So it turns out, when I went in and manually forced it off auto-detect and to ping off the Dallas server, which is the nearest server, the Dallas server, then, boom, we're back up to 6,000, kilobytes per second, not 300 or 100. So that seems to have been the issue. So I just need to make sure that whenever I switch to Restream, I need to realize that its auto detect is a moron, and I have to do it. I just have to do it myself. But it's not a big deal. So hopefully that will never happen again, because having to have a false start is really frustrating, because YouTube has a really stupid system now for the way it tends to handle streaming. If you want to announce a stream in advance, you don't want to just hit the live button and go live and hope people just figure it out. Then what you have to do is you have to literally like schedule it, and then you have to set Restream to stream to that particular stream. So if you don't do that, what it will proceed to do is, if you do that, but the stream goofs for some reason, like mine did, it will say, oh, okay, that stream's over, and it just locks me out, and I can't stream using that thing anymore. So I have to delete that one and make a new one that's the exact same. Drives me crazy. Any event, I hope you're all doing well. While I'm going through this morning's announcements, be sure to just throw a hey up in chat if you want me to say hello to you. So now is the time to get crack-a-lackin' on that. But in any event, news. So, couple things coming up. First and foremost, today will be the finale of the SFO stream. All we have left is to blow up we have to blow up 17 settlements. Either we're going to do that this stream, or the AI is finally going to catch us out and kill us. One of those two things is going to happen. So this will be the last SFO stream for Beastmen. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do after this. I'm tempted to play a different game for a little bit. Maybe like Chaos Bane or Vermintide or something. But we'll play it by ear. So keep an eye out for that. But the big thing that's happening that's important is that on Friday, 2 things are going to be happening. Hopefully, assuming nothing goes wrong. Actually, let me double check one of these before I just spout it out. We're starting at... Okay, so, 2 things are going to happen on Friday, assuming nothing bad happens. The first is that in the morning, we will be playing Vermintide with a special guest. I don't want to announce who it is yet until I'm like 1,000% sure we're gold, but it's looking like we're good. I'll hopefully get some confirmation during the stream, and we'll be able to lock it in. But we will be playing Vermintide with a very, very special guest that I'm really, really excited. I've talked to them frequently, but I've never talked to them on stream, so that'll be a lot of fun. And then on Friday afternoon, I'm not going to say exactly where or when yet because I'm going to let them announce it first, but they should announce it today. I am going to be interviewing the developers of the Return of Warhammer, the Warhammer Fantasy Return of Reckoning private server. So I'm going to be conducting an interview and asking questions from their community and the overall community as well. It's not Brian Blessed. I don't think Brian Blessed could play Vermintide in his 80s. I don't think that's gonna happen. Though he is blessed. Brian Blessed, blessed be his name. It's not a Games Workshop employee. Or anyone associated with Games Workshop. With that out of the way, let's go through the hello queue and say good morning, everyone. So, we've got Mr. Spookums, Kira Haas is here, of course, Lone Sparrow, Eldrin the Archmage, Garanath Grimwrath. Thank you all for being here. And then in the hello queue over here, we've got Christian Sukowicz, Jake FR, Tide Pod Chef. That's a dangerous name. Pipjin Klein Lebink. I'm going to go with that. Ty Blaine, Unveiledman, Ognir, Mitros98. Sotek keeping up with the daily schedule. I know, something's horribly wrong. Leonard Gott, Headbander, Alexander Georgiton. Good morning. Sebs Mad, Avatar of the Horned One, Guion Capelong, back with a million questions. Oh dear. Changer of Ways. Oh lads, how you... That's your comment, not your name. Hypermelon. Dominic Kudurna? Jake Wu, good to see you. Tiberius Babuff. Joachim Shipper, Dominion Sorcerer. Max Dunner, Thomas Eck. I need to get like an algorithm, or not an algorithm, I need to make a bot that like collects people saying hello. That way it's just nice and orderly. We'll have to do that at some point. Phil McDonald, you want me to rant about Helman Ghorst? I think I can do that. Thomas Eck, Silakic Bear. Mohammed Hasik, good morning. Edmund Zekhib, one of those. We got Corrupt Moon 0605, Frozen Soul 990, Violet Evergarden, I Have Tomatoes, there's Zernoff. Also, Gian Capelong, hello there hello from the Philippines. Well, hello, hope you're doing well. I have a lot of friends from the Philippines. I have a lot of friends who are Filipino. One of them was born and raised in the Philippines. One of them was not. Dread Nautilus. Orc Boss is here. Wonderful. Living Legend. Hello, hello. Eckhart Q. Krazomson. I like that name. That's a good name. It rolls off the tongue well. Grebo. Corin 7. Land of Death and Life. Good morning. Dominic. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Dominic. Thank you. Cormac Morris. Duranar GL. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Hey, Sotek, on RR, which Order and Destro classes are my favorite? On Order, my favorite class is I like a lot of them, but probably my favorite would be the White Lion. And for Destruction, it's easily the Magus. The Tzeentch Magus is my favorite Destruction career by like a landslide. Alright, so today our objective is very simple. We have to survive and also burn down 17 settlements. And we will have our victory. So buckle up, because this is going to be this is definitely going to be a guerrilla campaign. So, Chaz Foy, good morning. Yeah, I'm only level 40 on my Ironbreaker. I know. Well, the reason I did Ironbreaker is because originally, when I was getting back into ROR, my friend wanted to play through the Dwarf campaign, and I was like, oh, okay, sure. And he was going Slayer, and I felt that the Ironbreaker would synergize best with the Slayer. Which it does synergize quite well with the Slayer. Not as... It synergizes decently enough. So, that's why I did it. And then I just kind of got attached to that character. So, yesterday, Changer of Ways was very generous and put in a tip into our ever-hungering Great Maw of a tip jar that he wanted me to ramble about Helman Ghorst, which I am all too happy to oblige. That being said, I should ask, Changer, is there any particular aspect you're wanting to be ranted about? Or do you just kind of want me to just, like, pick a random aspect of it? Because I have a lot of problems with Helman Ghorst and the vampire counts in general. And I will warn you all that I'm probably, if I do this, if I start talking about Helman Ghorst, it is going to devolve into a rant about the vampire counts in general. So, like, you need to be aware of that before we take that step. Oh, no, I was revealed? Go after my herd. Yes! Good, stupid vampires. They fell for my trap. Elspeth? If we have time, we might do Elspeth. Which we'll probably have time. But I try to keep my streams to, like, one rant per stream. You know, to give you all things looking forward. Oh, was it an Elspeth rant? You know what, I could just check. I could check the records. Check the records! Oh, you're right. It was an Elspeth rant. Damn it. Oh, God, that one is so... Oh, do you want it to be a poll? I can do a poll. We have a poll bot. Bloodgreed Beasts? Oh, that's cool. I think we have a poll bot, right? Hold on. How do I want to test this. This is a perfect opportunity to test the strengths of our bot. Hold on. Nightbot. I'm trying to remember how this even works. Oh right, it's one of the default ones. So if I type, hypothetically, I should just be able to go this. Oh wait, I have to create it. Now I remember how it works. I remember how it works. It took me a hot second, but now I remember how it works now. You know, we'll just do both. We're not gonna worry about it because it takes like a hot minute to do it. So, Elspeth was the one that was paid for, so we'll discuss that one first, and then we can deal with Ghorst later. So, for those unaware, which is probably many of you. Okay, so first to preface, Is it preface or preface? 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 Anyway, I think it's preface. I want to note, in my defense, that, well, not really my defense, but acknowledge that what's about to come out of my mouth is a very, very nerd-centric, I don't want to say condescending, but essentially condescending. Ooh, I want a Doom Bowl. Give me a Doom Bowl. What? Really? I have to buy Frenzy on a Doom Bowl? Shouldn't they just come with that? Do they not come with Frenzy? I guess it's not quite the same thing. Okay, so yeah, give me the frenzied one. Can we purchase Rants now? Only in this instance. So the thing with it is that do I really want to buy that? I mean, plus leadership size is really nice. Sorry, hold on. let me think through this for a hot second, and then we'll be ready to kick off. Hoofed heavyweights, Primeval Rage, Legendary Beast Lord, Hatred of Men. Oh wow. Wow, he starts with really high melee attack. Holy crap. So we could grant you in hooves. Definitely not that one. Sure, let's do Fall of the Drakwald. Okay, so anyway. So with that warning put in, here's my problem with the character known as Elspeth von Draken. So, for those unaware, there was a campaign that was introduced into Warhammer Tabletop known as the Tarmacon campaign, which I have that book over there on the over there. Doesn't really matter. And the thing about the Tarmacon campaign was that it was the most ambitious, crazy, awesome thing that Forge World had ever made. And it details this massive chaos campaign that happened in the modern times, where this nasty, powerful Chaos Lord of Nurgle named Tarmacon went all the way. He built up a big army in the Chaos Wastes. He went east until he reached the Mountains of Morn. Then he went south through the Mountains of Morn, and then he cut west across the Darklands to pick up the help of the Chaos Dwarves. And if I can auto-resolve this, I will not. I'll fight this. I'll fight this. Give y'all a fight nice and early. And he went west, picked up the Chaos Dwarves, cut through one of the mountain passes, and invaded the Empire, where he tried to assault the city of Nuln. And it was an epic book. It's one of my favorite books in Warhammer Fantasy, just because the amount of love and detail and care that went into it was absolutely fantastic. And a lot of the models were really, really gorgeous, even though unfortunately they were resin, which always sucks. But everything else about it was really great. And ultimately, it was a huge hit, though, and now it's like a hardcore collector's item because unfortunately it's the only one of its kind. But in any event, there are a lot of characters introduced. One of the characters introduced was an Empire wizard by the name of Elspeth von Draken. Elspeth von Draken is a Imperial wizard of the Lore of Death. So she's from the Amethyst College, which is the College of Death Magic. and she was taught at the colleges of magic, became exceedingly powerful, and then showed up in the Tarmacon campaign because she essentially nowadays works as a mercenary wizard. Like, she still works to defend the Empire, but kind of off the record. And she doesn't really ally herself, or... she doesn't listen to the colleges. She kind of does her own thing. And, like, does not give two farts in the wind about doing what they want her to do. Wow, look at this thing. It's a big old warhound. And it has discouraging attacks. It's a big boy. So, keeping all that in mind, here's the problem with Elspeth von Draken in my famous rant. The problem with Elspeth von Draken is that she was introduced, and Forge World I think kind of has a tendency of this, but it got really bad with Elspeth, is that, you know, Forge World likes to make really cool, exciting models and books and stuff. So they tend to introduce creatures or books or monsters that completely annihilate the setting that came before it at times, by including like colossal creatures and monsters, which in Warhammer is fine, but it became a problem with Elspeth because she kind of steps all over the lore of the Empire. And my problem with her is that, to use a popular phrase that the kids use nowadays, though I think it's a hilarious meme, as long as it's in jest, a lot of people simp for this character now, and I hate it. I hate it so much. I don't like this character. I don't want her anywhere near Total War Warhammer, because I think she spits in the face of the lore, and I hate her design, and I don't like her. I think she's terrible. But a lot of people do like her because she's really, really powerful. But here's the problem. Elspeth von Draken is to the Empire of Men essentially like a demigod. So let's compare her, a death wizard, who is not employed by the colleges and is allowed to roam around and do whatever the hell she wants, without being like directly challenged, even though it's noted Gelt keeps like a wary eye on her to like make sure she doesn't do anything like super bad or crazy. But, you know, she operates outside of the authority. And so you have this issue of, okay, well, you know, what's the big deal, right? What's the problem? Here's the problem. Balthazar Gelt is a very strong and powerful metal wizard. Neat. He has a, you know, for he has the lore of metal, and he's one of the best metal casters in the game. He's got decent magic items that make him difficult to kill, but, you know, he's not going to be going out and, like, auto-winning any crazy wars or anything. He's got a lot of abilities that allow him to be very avoidant, and tanky. But, you know, he can be, he has to stay out of combat, and he has weaknesses that you would expect a wizard to have. Then there's Elspeth. What does Balthazar Gelt ride? Well, Balthazar Gelt has to be reasonable. So Balthazar Gelt, the Supreme Patriarch, and, supposedly one of the most powerful wizards of the colleges, rides a Pegasus. Cool, thematic, fits. What does Elspeth von Draken ride? She rides a goddamn Carmine Dragon. Do you know what a Carmine Dragon is? Do you know what it does? A Carmine Dragon is essentially to a regular dragon what a, well, what's a good example? A regular dragon is to a Carmine Dragon basically what, like, an Empire soldier is to a Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Death. The Carmine Dragon is not only one of the strongest dragons in the setting, because it is one of the top tier dragons, but it can barf out purple suns. Yeah, exactly, like Undertaker. It has the ability to literally retch out one of the most powerful spells in the game as a breath attack. Because that's totally fair and reasonable. Oh, did I also forget to mention? I bet I did. I think I forgot to mention that Elspeth von Draken is functionally immortal. She's not human. You see, Elspeth von Draken has become so saturated with death magic, it has become such a pervasive part of her being that she no longer has the ability to separate herself from it. It has basically become a part of her to the extent that she is the Lord of Death, and she's actually got a lot more in common with, like, necromancers, really, really powerful necromancers, I might add, than she does with her fellow humans. She's not human. She's not even remotely human. She's human in shape only. She is so not human that when they wrote her rules, they literally included rules that say, treat this model, give this model all the penalties that you would give to ethereal or demonic units. Because she's not human, even remotely. And that's the biggest issue I have with her, is she's not human. And here's the thing. The most powerful aspect of the Empire, in my mind, is that, like, the best thing about them, the most important thing about them, is that the Empire, at its core, is a nation of men. It's a nation of humans who don't have superpowers. They don't have crazy ass-kicking abilities. They can't fight Chaos Warriors toe-to-toe. They can't go up against the demons of chaos and beat them through raw strength, or the orcs, or the Beastmen, or any of that. The whole point behind the Empire of Men is that they went through strategy, they went through resilience, they went through faith. They don't win because they, like, have the best MacGuffins. You know, they have technological marvels, sure, that's one thing. But, like, all this garbage of, Elspeth von Draken's not human. She is a monster. She is literally a giant, she's a spirit that rides on a dragon, which is hilariously unbalanced, no matter how you look at it. And her big major gimmicks are that her magic items are insanely powerful. Like, her magic items are insane. And the way the story ends, which really got my gears going, so to speak, was that, you know, you have the Empire fighting against Tarmacon, and they're putting up this, like, massive, desperate bid to stop one of the mightiest Chaos Champions that's been seen in an age. Because he showed up before Archaon did. Like, this guy is insanely powerful. And despite all of this, you know, you're thinking, oh, okay, well, like, what ingenious move did the Empire use to take him down? What noble sacrifice happened, or, like, great use of tactics, or, you know, whatever, you know, what occurred to make this victory possible? You know how Nuln won the fight? Is that Elspeth von Draken saved the day. You know how Elspeth saved the day? Was it through some kind of heroic act of self-sacrifice? Was it by leading the charge herself? Was it by giving up her immortality or any bit of her power in order to secure the day for the Empire? No. The way Elspeth beats him is that she sends another hero named Theodore Bruckner. Theodore Bruckner, who is just a guy. Theodore Bruckner is essentially an Empire captain who is very, very strong because he's the champion of the Countess of Nuln. So he's like, you know, he's an executioner champion. He's very, very skilled at combat, and he's an all-around badass, but he's still just a guy. And his big cool thing is that he rides a demigryph. So he's like the only character you could take in tabletop that rode a demigryph, which was super cool. And Elspeth lies to him. She tricks him. So what Elspeth does is she gives him an amulet that if he gets close enough to Tarmacon, it'll detonate and basically kill him. So he will suicide, he'll blow up, but it'll take Tarmacon down with him. But she didn't tell him that. So he takes this amulet with him. He goes to fight Tarmacon in this epic grand finale, this great final battle to end all final battles. And Bruckner, being the badass that he is, manages to destroy Tarmacon's ogre body. Because Tarmacon is not really the body you see. He's more like a giant maggot creature, demon thing, that has the ability to basically like eat his way into people's bodies and puppet their bodies around. So he's in the body of an ogre with all the might and power of like a max tier champion of Nurgle, and Bruckner beats him. Oh, and he was riding on a toad dragon, which you should look up what a toad dragon is. Toad dragons are huge, and they're horrifyingly powerful creatures. But Bruckner wins. Bruckner defeats Tarmacon, but Tarmacon pulls the trick he always does, which is that when his ogre body died, he eats his way out and he launches himself at Bruckner. Just like Elspeth knew he would. So Elspeth, taking advantage of this knowledge, instead of doing something to protect Bruckner or warning him in advance or anything like that, she just lets him go in there so that when Tarmacon jumps at him to eat him and take his body, his crystal goes, oh, there's Tarmacon, it blows up and kills all of them. Kills everybody in that little area. She is a stupid character. I hate her. She's everything that the Empire should not be. Like, she just doesn't fit within the lore of the Empire. You know, it's like, the Empire isn't supposed to have dragons. Like, dragons are supposed to be used by races that are truly ancient or delve into, like, horrible forbidden powers to make pacts with these great big monsters and all this other garbage. Whereas Elspeth is not only riding a dragon, but she's riding the most powerful dragon ever. Like, that breed of dragon, the Carmine dragons, they're insane. They're so strong. And she's just like, oh, yep, I this is mine. I have this. And then she's ethereal. Like, she's not even human. She's immortal. She's such a powerful wizard that she is stronger than Balthazar Gelt. She's stronger than Balthazar Gelt. I don't like her. I don't like her. Like, the Karl Franz is the only person in the Empire who's able to ride a dragon. And the only reason he can ride the Imperial Dragon is because there's something else about him. Yeah, Theodore Bruckner is awesome. Karl Franz can ride the Imperial Dragon. He never does, but he can. Where are all the dragons? Most of the dragons live like in Ulthuan, but like most of the dragons you would see nowadays. But they're all over the place. But generally, what happened to the dragons is that when the world got warmer and warmer, the dragons all basically were like, this kind of sucks. We don't like this very much, and they all went into deep slumbers in various places around the planet. So like they delved into. Ooh, that's really nice. They would like delve into the deep places in the earth, or underneath the sea. Or, you know, in the Great Mountains, yada, 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 to infinity. Until they... wow, I can get a level 17 wizard. That is amazing. And I just hate it, dudes. I hate it. She's a terrible character. I don't like her. I don't want her in Total War Warhammer. I have a bad feeling that I'm going to get her in Total War Warhammer because, unfortunately, she is a popular character. Like, you may have thought I was joking earlier when I was like, yeah, there are people that flat out simp for this character. Yeah, no. I'm being 100% like honest about that. That was not like a haha poke. No, that's just the way it is. She sucks. She's the worst. But I have a good feeling, I have a strong sense that we're going to get, sorry, thinking for a second. I have a strong suspicion that we're going to get Tarmacon at some point. And if they give us Tarmacon, they're gonna give us Elspeth as, like, his enemy. I would suspect. Like, if Tarmacon comes in a Lord pack, then I would bet very, very highly that Elspeth von Draken would be his opponent. I could enable Slongor recruitment. Might as well. Why not? I don't think I need the Slaanesh Herdstone to recruit them. I think I only need the... I think it just gives me buffs. But I don't think I require it. We'll see. Jubal Falk for Null instead of Elspeth. My thing with the Empire is that I already have my list of all the characters I want for the Empire. It's my priorities are very different, I think, from the communities a lot of the time. My ultimate priorities are always to focus on finishing the army books. Like, take the army book from 8th edition, get all those characters in the game. Once all those characters are in the game, if you want to go outside that and start pulling from other places, sure, go for it. Like, Nuln, I am not interested in a character for Nuln. I got enough problems as it is. Let's see. Man, everybody hates us, and it makes moving around kind of difficult. I kind of want to use my Doombull army as like a distraction. Hey, Sotek, no notification for me, it appears. So you didn't get like a... You didn't get a notification from anything? From like Twitter or Discord or YouTube? What is the Imperial Dragon and how do they sustain him? The Imperial Dragon... So, Karl Franz has a very particular hobby, and that hobby is that he likes to maintain the Imperial Zoo and fill it with all sorts of specimens from, like, different places and exotic locales. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It is a zoo that has... Oh, I could get a Minotaur character. Yeah, that's way better. You're fired. You can just wander around. And actually, you know what? No, you're like actually fired. Get out of here. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But the Imperial Zoo just has a lot of different creatures in it. And one of the creatures is the Imperial Dragon, which has been there a decent while. The Imperial Dragon was discovered as an egg, and it was brought to the Imperial Zoo where it's been raised, essentially. But the only person that's, like, brave enough to approach it and is able to get its attention and, like, mount it without bad things happening to them is Karl Franz. Everyone else has either been too terrified or the dragon just, like, is not interested in allowing that to happen. Dude, yeah, I would love Gorfang Rockgut. But the only way we're going to get Gorfang is if it is like a massive community request, and he would have to be a free LC character, since he's, you know, already in the game. You know, honestly, it's probably not a bad idea to just, like, spam heroes to just farm Tribes Gather points. So what can you do as an agent? Lower miscast chance. Lower enemy winds of magic. Buff weapon strength. And buff magic. I like that. And then anything up here that's interesting? No, these are all just like combat stuff. Chance of finding items. Lower miscast chance. Ooh, block army is really good. Take specialist. Then I don't know, spread corruption, I guess. Okay, I want you to go invisible. Actually, let's just have you all go invisible right here. Give us some space from all these enemies coming after us. You go that way, away from me, for that is what I desire most. What type of dragon is the Imperial Dragon? It's just a dragon. It's not any specific interesting kind. It breathes fire. It's a basic dragon. It is literally the most basic dragon possible. I can tell you that it's stronger than a sun dragon. It's about equal to a moon dragon, so average. Would I rather have 15 sons or daughters? Neither. That is way too many kids. No thank you. Like, I struggle to imagine myself wanting more than 2, like, ever. Even if I had the ability to provide for many more than that. Like, that's just too many kids. Maybe if I was, like, fabulously wealthy and I, like, opened a orphanage or something as a hobby? I don't know. But, yeah, no. No thank you. Get some more heroes running around. Oh, I should put a Doom Bull in that other dude's army. Disciplined is... I don't like those debuffs. Let's do Determined. What is this one? Recruitment and upkeep. And recruitment rank. Alright, and the Wargore I will have just run around. And run interception. Oh wait, no, I can only have... okay, so that pulls from the same... That pulls from the same pool. Interesting. Okay. Who would be... Are you trying to spell Joseph Bugman with that? Bugman. Not Bookman. Joseph Bugman? Honestly, I would honestly prefer Bugman as a legendary hero, not a legendary lord. I think he would make a fantastic legendary hero. Who would have a lot of really interesting and powerful support mechanics. Do dragons on Ilthuan look different to other dragons? I mean, dragons on Ilthuan have a very notable classification system based on the hue of their scales and, like, their size. But I would not say that, they're not like wildly different from the other dragons of the world. The only note is that sun dragons are very young, relatively, and star dragons are very old, relatively. I mean, star dragons aren't true ancients, but they're up there. Just gonna blow up Vrenka Hills. Don't mind me. Who would win, Karl Franz or a Jabberslythe? Karl Franz, easily. Well, does he have Galmaraz? If he has Galmaraz, it's Karl Franz by a landslide. Galmaraz is like one of the best monster slaying weapons in all of fantasy. Cathayan dragons are very different. The dragons of the Far East are like Chinese dragons. They're like serpentine and don't have wings. But they fly anyway. Would Grombrindal have been better as a legendary hero? I think so. I think Grombrindal would have been great as a legendary hero. I feel like he has really bizarre overlap with Ungrim and Thorgrim. I think if Grombrindal had been a legendary hero, that would have been fantastic. And then we could have had, like, Bugman as a lord instead. Because I think every race should have at least one legendary hero. Every single race. Without question. Without fail. True ancients, so they're even higher tier dragons than star dragons? Oh yeah, dude. Emperor dragons? Emperor dragons are, like, terrifying. And they're, like, true primordial ancients. Those are the dragons that have, like, been around since the old ones showed up. Why do the dragons look so ugly? And I liked the 8th edition dragons, or the 7th edition dragons. What are these? Fanatics, they just have unique art for some reason? Would I change the current version of Franz? No, I like Franz the way he is. I think he's fine. He seems great. Burn it. Ooh, we got slug skin. Nice. That's probably gonna have walls. Fear the Lash. Brutal Power. Ooh, Revered is really good. Instill Fear. Okay, so you pretty much have like a Minotaur focused option and then a non-Minotaur focused option. So let's do Fear the Lash. So wait, can I recruit we'll figure that out next turn. Do the other Winds of Magic dragons exist besides Death? Yes, every Wind of Magic has a dragon. Hey, Chloe. You here to... Oh, thanks. Chat, y'all want to say hi to Chloe? Of course y'all do. Why am I even asking? All of them always wants to say hi to Chloe. Hey, Chloe. Hi. Good morning. What are you doing, princess? Hey, Chloe. Chloe, hey. She's like, I already looked at you. What more do you want? Hey, what are you doing? Chloe. Hey. Hey. What are you doing, big girl? What are you doing, big girl? Oh, look at you. You're so cute this morning. What are you doing? You gonna take a nap? Huh? You gonna take a nap? Yeah. Okay. I'll leave you alone. Good girl. Good girl, Chloe. Such a good girl. Y'all were blessed this day. Chloe actually looked at the camera. Tis a rare event. Actually, I think I'd rather have perfect vigor on him. Alright, we're making good progress, burning through greenskin lands, so that's nice. Got the giant blade. Here's the spell shield. Let's go with the opal amulet. Horn of the first beast. What's the story behind Taryx? Taryx becoming the brass bull. Essentially, what happened with Taryx is that he was a legendarily angry and fierce minotaur, even among his own kind. And basically what happened is that he would, on a very regular basis, get very worked up into a bloodlust. And on one particularly nasty occasion, oh, I can recruit a unit of Slongors. Oh, I just want to see them. Gosh, what can I get rid of? I have to get rid of special points, which I think all of my special points are wrapped up in these guys, right? Wait, no, Bulgors are special, right? Bulgors. Bull. They are 2 special points. Awesome. Get rid of that. Yo. Yeah, give me those 2 Slongors. Oh, baby. Let's actually drop Blackhorn's Ravengers, since they'll replace him. Oh, that lets me get another one? I'll take another unit of Zongors. Don't mind if I do. Yeah. I like that. That's great. But anyway, he got worked up into like a really, really bad frenzy at some point. And Taryx essentially went on this big rampage where he killed everything. Like, Taryx killed all of his enemies, and then he started killing all of his allies. And he literally worked his way, I don't remember exactly where geographically he was, but he basically worked his way from like one end of like a province-sized area to the other and just killed everything along the route, and he butchered all of his enemies and all of his own tribe, because Taryx has no chill, to put it mildly. And after he killed everything, these nerds keep walking into ambushes. After he killed literally everything, he basically collapsed into an exhausted rage in like a river of blood, because he had murdered so much and killed so much that there was just like a literal river of gore from all around him. And finally he and he probably very likely could have died at that moment, but Khorne was very impressed by this display, and so Khorne essentially reached out to Taryx by sending him a Herald of Khorne. So a Herald of Khorne appeared before the kind of fallen champion, and was like, hey, you're super duper awesome. I've come to offer you the blessings of Khorne, the blessings of our god, because you've done such a badass job. And unfortunately for the Herald of Khorne, like I said, Taryx has no chill. So what Taryx did is, instead of being like, oh, thank you, representative of my god who I worship, for this, like, wonderful gift, I will honor it and, you know, be a powerful whatever, he proceeded to essentially lean for... He, like, grabbed the Herald of Khorne and he bit its head off. So, Khorne's herald, who came to visit, was brutally murdered by Taryx the Brass Bull, which Khorne didn't really care that much about, but the herald took offense to. So, when Taryx essentially became the closest thing we've ever seen to a Beastman becoming a Beastman becoming a greater demon. Or a demon prince. Sorry, a demon prince. Closest thing we've probably ever seen to that, because he basically went through an ascension where he was baptized in all that blood. Oh yeah, you're right. The herald was before he collapsed at the end of the rampage, because he collapsed into the blood, and in it he was essentially remade. So he was given a body of all brass, and that is virtually impenetrable unless he gets hit by something like insanely hard. But because he bit off the head of that herald, the demon, in spite, made sure that his transformation was not 100% good. So it left a small piece of flesh right here at the base of his throat, still vulnerable, which would heavily play into his death. Wasn't Ograx the Great a Beastman Demon Prince? Ograx the Great, there's inconsistent lore on what exactly Ograx was. In the army books, which I tend to lean towards being canon over the personal stories, because the Black Library... So, the way I determine canon is like this whole thing, because canonicity is very messy in Warhammer Fantasy. And the big issue with Ograx, as an example, is that if you read the army books, which tell the canonical story of what is going on with Archaon's ascension, Ograx the Great was a man. If you read the Archaon novels, he is a beastkin. Demon? I can't remember if they're called beastkin or demonkin. But he is not a beastman. He's like a half-demon, half-beastman hybrid. Because that's what the Archaon novels revealed are at the Southern Pole. Is that at the Southern Pole, because there's nothing but beastmen, the demons there have kind of like warped them so badly to the point that they were capable of mating with them. So they created this like really horrifying offshoot species that are half demon, half beastmen, which doesn't really make any sense, but you know, it is what it is. Can I give a shout out to Broken Load Order? Cool channel for old Warhammer lore. Sure, there you go, just happened. Hello to them. Yes, the Embrace of Chaos. Alright, should we go... I guess we could go out that way, because fighting greenskins is probably easier. I'd like rather avoid the vampire counts, to be frank. Beast Fiends. There you go. Hey, Big Aggie, thanks for gifting a sub. Lucky you, Lone Sparrow. Enjoy the emotes and the sub, my dude. I appreciate it, Big Aggie. Thank you very much. Well, Dread Nautilus, the only problem with that theory is that the demons would not have arrived fast enough on the planet to participate in that particular experience. The demons took a little bit longer to get onto the planet than that initial shockwave that created all the Beastmen. Plus, anything at the northern and southern extremities, the northern and southern poles would have been absolutely obliterated. Like, the Beastmen that are there now, or those beast creatures, would have been things that would have been further towards the... they would have been on the southern Chaos Waste, so not directly under the realm of Chaos, but, like, further out, to have survived the initial boom. And then eventually, they migrated their way in. But... if one were to get into the books, what's a good starting place? Gotrek and Felix is a great starting place. Also, the Blackhearts Omnibus is an excellent starting place. And is just a great... I would recommend for anybody who loves Warhammer Fantasy to read the Blackhearts. It's an absolute ball. It's just a lot of fun. In addition to being a good story. That helps you get used to the universe. Nope, that's not the right stance. That's the right stance. To mount Silver Spear! Let's get Harness Their Darkness. Ooh, we're starting to hurt financially, so gotta be careful from this point forward. Do I think the Wanderers and the Karnathi being merged and led by, Kurnos, who looks like Cenarius in Warcraft, and a bunch of beasts would work? For AOS? Maybe? I don't know. I feel like if they were going to do a big merge like that, you would see the Wanderers, the Sylvaneth, and the Karnathi being merged into, like, a super elf faction. Because Alariel, despite the fact that the Sylvaneth are not really elves, Games Workshop treats them like elves. Is Malagor level 102? No. For whatever reason, on this SFO build, whenever you hit level 40 with the character, so max level, it shows 102 for some reason. I think it's showing... yeah, I actually have no idea why it shows 102. But I'm level 40, not level 102. Gian, thanks so much for being here, my dude. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for coming. Oh! Common S, I'm super glad to hear that. That's awesome. Absolute ball is a compliment. Yes. To have an absolute ball means to have a great time. Sorry. Not like... yeah, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Just to be crystal clear. Sorry, that's funny to me. Compulsions. Let's keep doing Call to Morslib, I guess. Oh, I got my shaman back. Cool. Join his army. You go back into please stop draining all of my economy stance. And let's have you set a trap. How are we doing on bases? We need 10 more. Cool, cool. Let's go for... ooh, I can get... well, I don't really want the Warhound upgrade. Giants, Manticore... let's do the Minotaurs buff. What's worse, being a slave to Dark Elves or Chaos? I would say Dark Elves. Unless... I would say Dark Elves unless you end up being a slave to Slaanesh. Slaaneshi Chaos group. I would say the general order of it goes like, if you are a slave in the Warhammer Fantasy universe, the worst people to belong to, from absolute worst to least worst, would probably be Slaanesh, Warriors of Chaos / Demons, Chaos Dwarves. Well, no, I'd probably say Dark Elves, Chaos Dwarves, and then Greenskins below that, and then, like, humans. Ooh, skulls for the Skull Throne. Nice. Azhag, you fell into my trap. You're not Azhag, you're just some regular dude. Never mind. Regular dude, prepare to die. Whack. Well done. Well done. Let's keep moving. These greenskins aren't going to know what hit them. Because now we've got the classic tactic of just luring the AI into the same trap over and over and over again. Actually, I can pass on Brutal Power, I think. Let's grab Fury the Herd. What about being the slave to Skaven? Oh, yeah, good point. So, Slaanesh stuff, Dark Elves, Skaven, Chaos Dwarves, other Warriors of Chaos, Greenskins, humans. Oh, good, I can finally get this, the really, really expensive one. Nice! Give me all those tribal call points. Ranking how evil the different Chaos Gods are? Oh, well, I was ranking how being a slave to what faction would be worse. I don't think you can objectively put the Chaos Gods in an order of evil. I think Vermintide 2 actually has a quote about that from Saltspire. About how, like, listing the various chaos powers in, like, an order is, like, basically just inviting bad things to happen. Because whichever one you put last, you're clearly underestimating them. Do ogres take enough slaves to matter in this hierarchy? Not really. The only thing ogres do with slaves is they give them to Chaos Dwarves. Like, ogres themselves do not really have a use for slaves. They'll just eat you. Or if they're close enough, or if they have, like, a good relationship with the, if they have a good enough relationship with the, Chaos Dwarves, they'll take you prisoner and give you to them. In which case, ogres are kind of the least of your problems at that point. Status on how much protein you contain? I have no idea. That's a weird question. That's a weird question. What's the most terrifying sea monster in Warhammer Fantasy? I mean, that's subjective, I think, at a certain point. But I would probably give it to... I mean, the leech worms are pretty nasty, which I covered in my Monstrous Arcanum series. Leech worm... I think for me, personally, it would probably be the leech worm. But I don't know. There's kind of a monster for every variety of way you could die. Or be tortured or suffer some horrific end. Like, if you have a fear of dying a certain way at sea, I guarantee you there's a monster that could deliver you that ending. And that's not even bringing up the fish people. The fish people are nightmarish in their own right. Is the Maelstrom the other end of the Great Maw? Yes. It's the other side. Because the Great Maw ate its way through the entire planet. Yeah, Bear, that's what the quote is. Yeah, never great evils, Kruber, for the one... For if one is worse, then you might be tempted to kinship with the least. Yeah. Muhammad, either they will die in the process, either due to not being well taken care of, or being, like, devoured, or just torn apart, because Beastmen do not like humans. Like, I cannot... Ooh, gosh, lizardmen. That's not really what I want to deal with. I cannot put it into words how much the Beastmen hate humans. Like, it is... The Beastmen have such a deep, personal anger and rage as a race towards the race of humanity. They don't give a damn how useful you are. They don't care how friendly you are. They don't care if you worship their gods. They don't care if you're their ally. They don't give a damn. If they have the opportunity to go after you and tear you apart, they will do it. Like, I mean, they hate the Warriors of Chaos just because they're humans. Even though they share the same gods. And, like, they're also jealous of the Warriors of Chaos because they tend to be more favored by the Dark Powers. But, like, Warriors of Chaos very frequently get, like, their armies get destroyed by Beastmen armies. Or, like, torn apart. Because they either have to prove that they are skilled enough in battle to defeat the Beastmen, and therefore the Beastmen will join up with them, because they can't beat them in a fair fight, or even an unfair fight, or the Beastmen will usually, like, rip them apart. Archaon's coming!
Oblivion has come, my lord. Archaon, the ever-chosen lord.
Oh my gosh. There's so many.
Re-entered the world.
Yay! Our cousin is here! And someone to distract all these other jerks from us. Which is what I really care about. I'm trying to enact my own dark prophecies here, and I keep getting chased. Yeah, the Beastmen do hate the Wood Elves. But, funny enough, the thing about the Beastmen and the Wood Elves is that the Beastmen as a race don't really care that much about the Wood Elves. Compared to their hatred for humanity. The issue between the two of them has more to do with the fact that they share the same spaces, and because the Beastmen just kind of naturally corrupt the world by just being active, the Wood Elves actively target them in an attempt to root them out to protect the forest and to protect the natural world. Because wherever the Beastmen are, they are constantly screwing with things and making... they're making the weave, which is what the Wood Elves value above all else, which is like the natural order of the world, the natural balance of life and all that stuff. Beastmen jack that crap up super hard just by existing and doing all the horrible rituals they do and perverting all the forests and ruining everything. Like, the Beastmen, it's more of the Wood Elves have made the Beastmen their primary target, whereas the Beastmen fight the elves because the elves keep coming after them. Now, Morgur, it should be noted, Morgur has a personal issue with the Wood Elves. Morgur is like the ultimate evil as far as the Wood Elves are concerned. But, like Malagor, Kazrak, Slugtongue, Moonclaw, Taryx the Brass Bull, Umgrul Forehorn, all those other guys, they're focused on humanity, not the Wood Elves. The only time they worry about the Wood Elves is basically when Morgur stirs them up and, like, invites them to come be a part of it. Or, like, a prophecy happens. Like, Malagor had a very successful invasion of Athel Loren once. That it took a good while for the Wood Elves to finally beat him out. But it's because he had like a ton of the Beastmen special characters with him. Have Wood Elves and High Elves ever teamed up against a mutual foe? Yeah, they have, from time to time. There's a couple of stories about it. There's a really particularly famous story where Finnebar the Seafarer, who's the current Phoenix King, using various through the help of his council and stuff, he became aware that there was basically an impending invasion of Beastmen coming for Athel Loren. So basically, in an attempt to kind of smooth over relations between the two kingdoms of elves, he sent a big high elf army over to help them fight. And so the high elves ran over there and fought back to back with the wood elves, and it went okay. Relations were still a little not great after the battle. The high elves were generally not super thrilled with the amount of casualties they took, and the wood elves were not particularly fond of like the high elves' holier than thou attitude, and like coming in and trying to be the saviors and then complaining when it didn't go super well. That being said, like overall it was a good experience, but there was definitely some tense discussions. But they've teamed up a few times against mutual enemies. I mean, they are the high elves and the wood elves are often on the same side of conflicts, and the wood elves even have helped the high elves a few times. Like during the there was a invasion of I want to say it was demons. There was a demon invasion of Tor Yvres, which was not going well, and this was when Altharion the Grim was either not born yet or was very young. I think it was when he was very young. But it wasn't going super great, and the Wood Elves kind of just showed up through the world routes and started helped them defeat the demons. And it was led by the Wood Elf special character Ariloth. And they basically just did it to help the High Elves out before, as soon as the fight was over, they left. And then there was another incident where Nakari, the Keeper of Secrets, during the really, really big war where Tyrion and Teclis became super famous, the war that was going on while Azavar Kul was invading the Empire, so the Great War against Chaos. During that war, Malekith invaded Ulthuan, and one of his masterstroke, his attempted masterstroke, was that he kind of made a beeline for Avalorn and just absolutely obliterated a lot of Avalorn. His goal was to kill the Everqueen, Alariel. He wanted to kill Alariel because he figured that if he could kill Alariel, it would basically cause the High Elves to just lose their spirit and give up. Or at least be so, heartbroken that they would give in to despair. But she got away from him because of Tyrion. She managed to escape, and Tyrion ran off with her into the forest of Avalorn, and Malekith was not happy. So Malekith sent Nakari, who's the most powerful Keeper of Secrets, after them, which Nakari was all too happy to do, to be frank. And Nakari would have caught up with Tyrion very quickly and killed both him and Alariel easily, but before he could catch them, the Wood Elves had sent their own counterforce, which was Scarlock the Hunter, who I have a video on in my Wood Elf DLC speculation series you can find here on the channel, where I go into that entire story. But basically, Scarlock the Hunter and his very, very famous and powerful band of scouts and they act as mercenaries in the wider world, but they're loyal to Athel Loren. They just act as mercenaries to gather information. But they fought a running battle with Nakari, which did not go well for them. Of the entire group that left, which was a pretty large group, only three of them survived. Because Nakari is just crazy powerful. Hey Jaden, how you doing? How dare you fail me? Who do you think has the most bitter hate dynamic? Dark Elves, High Elves. Dark Elves, High Elves have the biggest mutual hatred, and I think. The Dwarves certainly hate the Greenskins just as bitterly, but I don't think the Greenskins in general hold the same enmity towards the Dwarves as the Dwarves hold towards them. Night Goblins really hate Dwarves, but most Greenskins don't. A lot of Greenskins even like the Dwarves, like they enjoy fighting them. Any more plans to make content with Turin? Not anytime soon. Not that's been scheduled. Ah, okay. Chaos and Lizardmen? I would say Demons and Lizardmen have a pretty nasty enmity. But but it's also on a very like, I don't want to say a spiritual level, but it's on a very difficult to describe level. Yes, the Lizardmen and the... Ooh, is that Krokgar? It is Krokgar. I bet I can lure him into a tarp. Let's see, where are we at? We need 7 more settlements, so we kind of have to go this way. Did Wurzag move too close? Wurzag definitely moved too close. Let's kill Wurzag! Am I going to review the tabletop games made by Warchief Gaming? Probably not. I have no idea what we're even talking about. I don't know who Warchief Gaming is. See ya. Oh, he killed one of my Slongors. What a rude jerk. That was uncalled for. Just roll over and die. Great, now I've got to recruit a new one. You, be bait. Lure in that goofy, silly Krokgar. Bring him to me. Pick up another bond. More tribal call. Have I heard of Chris Metzen? It vaguely rings a bell. Vaguely. But that could let me get upgraded Warhounds, which I do like my Warhounds. Oh, bonus versus large and physical resist. Or melee attack. I mean, melee attack is better in more situations, but I kind of already run them as, like, anti-large focus. Yeah, let's go with Mutated Sinew. Oh, wait. I thought I already bought this. Oh, wait. The turn hasn't gone by yet. Okay, we're going to start with Seeing Red. Do Seeing Red first, then we'll go from there. Okay, you're going here. Did Kazrak, Malagor, or Taryx ever meet Morgr? Malagor has met Morgr multiple times. They've bumped into each other. Oh, Chris Metzen is the voice actor for Thrall. Okay. Cool. What about him? Haha, he fell for it, nerd. I'm sorry, I love you. Don't let this cause a rift in our relationship. He was also the lead writer for Blizzard on StarCraft. Oh wow, busy guy. Are the new army books going to be printed since Games Workshop is bringing Warhammer to the old world back? They will have new books, yes. Dwarves and Chaos Dwarves? There is a deep hatred there, but I don't consider it as deep as Dark Elves and High Elves because they so rarely interact. Like, Dwarves and Chaos Dwarves very rarely fight each other. It's like, maybe once every few centuries, there will be, maybe, once every few centuries, there will be a battle between them. But it is, it is exceedingly rare. They're just not in the same neighborhood most of the time. Yeah, that being said, we don't really know what the game plan with Warhammer the Old World is yet. Like, literally the only thing I can tell you for sure about Warhammer the Old World is that Kislev is playable, and Kislev is getting a lot of new super badass units, and the Empire will be playable at the start. I don't know if it's just going to be the Empire, or if it's going to be like every province has their own army. I don't know if I have no idea if Bretonia will be playable. I don't know. No, we're not talking about Warhammer 3. We're talking about Warhammer the Old World. Two very different projects. One's a video game, one's a tabletop game. Sorry, I didn't mean to get your hopes up there. We have not heard jack diddly about Total War Warhammer 3. Except for the, like, really cheeky chaos references they make every time they talk about it. Actually, no, I think I'd rather have Assault of Stone than Arnsapals, to be frank. Fireball. Hellfire Sword. Wait, what is Everbleed? Oh, Poison. Ooh. Armor. Doing good. Doing good. You're doing the gods' work. Apocalyptic Vision. Very nice. Let's do Thick-Skinned. And banned. Got him. Freaking bots. I still think CA should give Morathi Arnsapal's Black Horror as a bounce spell or special skill in her skill tree. I agree that I would very much like to see, like, the most powerful wizards of certain lores get access to, like, the missing spell from their lore. You know, like, if you're going to have Balthazar Gelt, then Balthazar Gelt should get the Enchanted Blades of Iban as, like, a unique bound spell, since that's the spell from the lore of metal that is missing from the game. Morathi, sure, could have Arnsapal's Black Horror. Let's see, what are some other characters who I think would be fitting? You know, I could see Manfred's already got too many skills. He's got bloat problems. Heinrich Himmler could get the missing spell from the lore of vampires, which I cannot remember off the top of my head. You know, Skaven they've done a pretty good job with. I just hope when we get Thanquol has like a mixed lore. Oh wait, no, you don't hide. You just be like, oh look, I'm a tasty treat. I sure hope somebody doesn't attack my sweet, tasty, tiny Doombull army. That would be terrible. I don't know what I would do with myself if somebody attacked that sweet, succulent horde of, Minotaurs. They're just so vulnerable and lonely. Let's get Harpy Spies. Thanquol bounce spell, summon Bloodthirster. Oh, that would be super funny. I feel like for that to work best, though, it would need to, like, not... No, that shouldn't be a special bound ability tsunami. That should just be if Thanquol miscasts. He has like a 1 in 100 chance to just immediately summon a Bloodthirster that attacks both armies. That would be so great. What rework do you think the Lizardmen need? The Lizardmen just... I think the big thing that the Lizardmen need to just give them that little push is that they need to make the geomantic web system actually matter. Right now, the geomantic web is cool, and it's like, it's not bad. Like, if you once you get enough of it going, the buffs you get are they're pretty good. But you have to invest so much into getting those buffs. Like, you have to have at least 2 full provinces, max rank, and you have to dedicate a building slot in every capital to have it going. And that's a lot to ask for very, very little reward, as far as I'm concerned. So what I would like to see is I would like to see them rework it so that, like, for every couple of spots that you connect, so say like, okay, so say like you're playing your campaign and you're like, okay, I've officially connected 2 settlements, so I have 1 point of the geomantic web. I have 1 full connection going. That should basically like give you a point on a meter. And what I would have that meter do is that the meter should functionally give you global buffs, or like army abilities. So like you should get access to powerful geomancy spells that by acquiring enough of those geomantic web points, you gain access to the ability to use them. I think that would be sick, and also like a bunch of fun. Where instead of it being, oh, okay, I get some passives, and that's really it. Like, oh great, I got a bonus to my recruitment rank or my money. It's like, oh no, okay, you've gotten 3 full provinces that are all connected, so you got 3 points, or I guess that would be 2 points. But like, you get enough provinces where you own 3 points. Well, guess what? That's going to give you access to like an ability that causes an earthquake that like greatly lowers the melee defense and speed of enemy units in this big fat area of effect. Or maybe you could have a point that makes it so, or like maybe when you get high enough, it like, you have a spell that opens a rift, so it's like this big, the earth gets all tossed up and it's just down a line. So like Mazdamundi's spell, his Ruination of Cities, but it's aimed and like a lot longer, and you're able to just like obliterate a line, or just stuff like that. Or maybe you get a buff that just like instantly destroys walls. Like just make it interesting and go crazy with it. Like, it's really, really hard to build those up, so I don't think it's a big deal to make them really strong. Man, we have finally reached the point in this campaign where we're just, like, obliterating everything we run into. If you have 5 points, Mazdamundi elbow drops Skrulk. Oh, man. Think Ruination of Cities should be changed a bit, too. It does an okay job for what it is. I dislike that it's random, but it also allows it to be stronger. Another cool thing I thought of. You know how the Skaven, Lord Kroak has the Ruination of Cities ability, or the Skaven have like the Skaven Warlock you could summon where you blow up a city? I think it'd be cool if one of the Geomantic Web abilities allowed you to, like, if you have enough points, maybe you could spend some of those points or get access to an agent ability that you use on the campaign map, where like if the where you can cause like an earthquake on a city and like knock it down a level and break all its buildings. You know, just stuff like that. Just, like, go crazy with it. Okay, lizardmen are coming. How many more cities do I need? I need 5 more. So we could hit... Maybe we could hit, like... Pig Barter. Whatever the hell this area is. And then the islands. Wouldn't that be good? Actually, it'd probably be easier to go over here. Let's go this way. Let's go into the mountains. Do I think a teleport system would be good? If they could implement it, yes. I don't know if Total War Warhammer has the ability to do that. If there was a way to... If they could do it, though, yeah, I would be 100% okay with, like, the lizardmen getting the ability to, like, teleport between cities, for instance. That they have, like, a high enough web in. That'd be cool. I'd be down for that. Won't them make the game even easier than it already is? I'm not honestly worried about easiness. Like, you could turn up the difficulty through various modifiers. Which I hope they introduce more ways to make the game more difficult. Right now, the way they kind of make the game more difficult is they just, like, make the AI have cheesier and cheesier stats. But I hope they introduce, like, different sliding scales or, like, different ticks you could click. Where instead of it just being like a flat, like you make it hard, legendary and it just does all this stuff automatically, it'd be awesome if you could trigger certain effects. Like, okay, wow, Age of Peace. That has to be a record. That has to be the fastest I have ever seen Chaos get completely obliterated. Good to see that SFO hasn't fixed every problem the game has. You still get that, oh, Archaon's kind of a little punk experience. Delightful. But, yeah, I mean, that's... I have so many not expectations, but hopes for Warhammer 3, and I know they're all just completely unrealistic. What elf world route travel? I wouldn't bet on it, but, you know, who knows? Maybe they could pull it off. I wouldn't put my money on it, though. Do I think we'll see Bellicor in Game 3? Yes. I am desperately hoping that for the Demons of Chaos, like, even if they decide to do it where you have Monogod, so you're like, okay, you could play as Khorne, and it's like, it's demons and warriors combined. I would give anything for there to be at least one faction where you play as Bellicor and you play undivided demons. So, like, you get to play the Demons of Chaos, no mortals. Like, you don't get any mortals. It's just pure demons. That's what I want for at least one army. Like, just let me play demons like I could play them in tabletop 8th edition. Let me just get it out of my system, okay? Let me have this. Warriors, demons, and beastmen? I guess they could do that. That would surprise me, to be honest. Yeah, I guess you could go all the way back to the really old school days. Back when it was Hordes of Chaos. And it was just like everybody in the same book. To be honest, I'm starting to expect Warhammer 3 will be a complete disappointment. It seems more likely with each passing month. Commoness, I don't know how you came to that conclusion. I mean, yes, it's been in development for a really long time. But I mean, I'm totally okay with that. I would rather them take all the time they need to make the game as good as possible. Eldrin, I will smack you. Hey, look, we found some dwarves. They're all gonna die now. Well, see ya. Whack. Thanks for the laughs. Let's do... I don't really want to do compulsion. Orator's not bad. Ooh, inspirational is actually really good. Let's go inspirational. Okay, we need a... If I could catch him in an ambush, this will be a massacre. Let me ambush you. Come on! Just let me ambush. Let me smash. You know you want to, Glugzag. Yeah! Goodbye. Anyone know how Be'lakor stacks up to other... Be'lakor is one of the strongest chaos entities. Be'lakor is practically a demigod. He's so strong. Like, he is not a pushover by any means of any imagination. He is the real deal, as it goes. Being the first demon prince does come with a lot of perks. Though, funny enough, in Age of Sigmar, at least from a tabletop perspective, in Age of Sigmar, Be'lakor is terrifying compared even to his fantasy rules. Like, his fantasy rules were pretty strong, but his tabletop rules in AOS are just wild. Whack. Yeah, I hope we'll see Cathay, but honestly, that's going to be up to Games Workshop. Oop, too far. Too far. Damn it. Whatever, I'll just stand here. What would have happened if Be'lakor had succeeded in becoming a full-on Chaos God? He probably would have ate the other four, to be honest. Yeah, Be'lakor nearly became, like, equal in power to the Dark Gods. Or at least, like, a fifth Dark God. But unfortunately for him, he was way too arrogant and boastful about his power. And Tzeentch was like, how about you don't? And kind of ripped his sanity away from him, among other things. I will fight this because I want to see the Slongors in action. I haven't gotten to see them yet, and I want to look at them, or at least look at their models. Even though this will be a complete massacre. Come here, little goblins. Oh, they have Vanguard. That's kind of nice. They have, can't tell if those are... I guess those are nipple tattoos? They look like tattoos. Yeah, they're neat looking. I like the masks. Or the helmets. I guess you would call them helmets rather than masks, but whatever. The Hounds, led by Big Chungus, the true Master Hound, who probably desperately needs to go on a diet. Let's go, nerds. My prediction for the base races for Warhammer 3 are Kislev, Ogre Kingdoms, Cathay, Demons of Chaos. That's who I'm putting my money on. I think Chaos Dwarves are going to be a DLC faction. I don't think they're going to be base game. What would have happened if Archaon had not turned to Chaos? Chaos would have been defeated. Archaon was supposed to basically be Sigmar's like mortal champion, but he goofed. He done goofed. I like that they have glaives. It's pretty neat. What's their gimmick? Unseen Beast. Oh, they have stock. Ooh. How fancy. Oh, I guess we should, like, shoot. Activate Yeetus Deletus. So, that's my secret power. Oh, okay, well, that was quick. I think Kislev will be a pre-order for Warhammer 3 and playable in 2 like Norska was. I don't know where you would put... I don't know where you would... how you would fit Kislev onto Warhammer 2's map, though. You think Kislev Cathay is going to be base game? I do. I do. Why didn't Sigmar answer Archaon when he called as his faith was slipping? Because it's a very the big thing that happened between Sigmar and Archaon, or Dieter Kastner as he was known back then, was that Sigmar was dealing with a couple issues. The biggest problem that Sigmar had when it came to speaking with and reaching out to Archaon, ultimately, is that Sigmar's soul, you know, his very... Ooh, I could pick a god? Hold on. Khorne Champion gives me really powerful frenzy-ish ability, but only if I'm at half health. Tzeentch makes me slap around magic stuff. Nurgle lets me regenerate, but only if I'm not in melee. I'm gonna go with Nurgle. I like regen. The Mark of Nurgle. The problem with Sigmar is that he was dealing with a big issue. And the big issue that he was stuck dealing with was that he was basically contained within within the Wind of Heavens. So when Sigmar died, when he went out east to go like hang out with the dwarves because he got really bored of ruling the Empire, and he was like, this kind of sucks, I don't want to do this anymore. When he left to go do that, when he died, his mortal life ended. Tzeentch, kind of as a FU, and also as a this guy is scary and I don't want to deal with him right now kind of move, basically like picked up Sigmar's soul and just kind of chucked him into the winds of magic, or into the Wind of Heavens, and contained him there, is basically what was revealed to us. But which made life kind of difficult for him in a myriad of ways. It made it really difficult for him to communicate with his followers. But the big thing about Sigmar is that from Sigmar's perspective as a god, looking at Archaon as a man, Sigmar expected and kind of demanded of Archaon to have faith. he needed and wanted Archaon to, like Sigmar did when he was alive and a man, to not rely on other powers, but to have faith and to rely on his own power and his own faith and his own might. But Archaon failed that test. Because when Archaon was basically up against the wall, and he felt that there was... And he learned about the prophecy that he was supposed to become Archaon, according to Necrodomo the Insane. And he was looking at all this stuff, and he was learning all these insane truths of the universe. My character's model changed. That's kind of neat. If I don't have to fight this, I'm not going to. Nice. What Sigmar expected of him was to remain steadfast, to remain strong, and not give in to temptation, not give in to the power of despair, not give in to all of this horrible nonsense bearing down on him. And if he had passed that trial, he would have basically been beyond destined, and proven himself more than worthy of taking up the mantle of Sigmar, and he would have been the one to ultimately strike down Chaos. Instead, as we all know, he failed. He did give in to all those horrible nagging doubts. He did give in to prophecy. He did give in to believing that he was merely a puppet in a game. And so Archaon looked at the game and decided that the best way for him to go forward was to play the game, to fulfill the prophecy, and by doing so, just wipe out all of existence. Because at least if everybody was dead, they wouldn't be living pathetic, idiotic lives, believing that they had freedom when they were all, in fact, just chess pieces on a never-ending board for eternal suffering. Archaon decided that if everybody died, it would be a lot better. It would be merciful. Which he's not entirely wrong. But the way he went about it was definitely not great. That being said, to say that the deck was stacked against Archaon is a hilarious understatement. But Archaon is definitely the poster child of, might have had a reasonable argument, but his execution kind of eliminates any good meaning he may have intended behind it. Were there any other prophecies in that book? No. The entirety of the prophecies of Necrodomo the Insane are purely wrapped around the end times and Archaon's journey. That book was actually crucial to Archaon's quest, because Necrodomo basically, told what was going to happen. He told Archaon, where he needed to go, what he needed to do, who he needed to fight, where, it had riddles as to where all of the artifacts of chaos were, which Archaon would need if he wanted to ascend to become Everchosen. Because he didn't necessarily require those items to become Everchosen. It's more that he required those items if he wished to become Archaon. Because becoming the Everchosen is very, very difficult, but it's not nearly as difficult as becoming Archaon is. Becoming Archaon is to fulfill a prophecy, which is to become something, truly insane. As far as, because you have to gather, the 6 artifacts of chaos, which are a pain in the ass. Who the hell was Necrodomo? Necrodomo the Insane is based on an actual historical figure from our universe. But Necrodomo was basically a very, very gifted prophet who lived in Talea. And he was very gifted in the art of... yeah, he's based on Nostradamus from our universe. But Necrodomo was... He was basically intended as a... he was a very gifted prophet whose whole... But why is Eshin's capital in Lustria? Very strange. Kind of the big thing about him was that he was always gifted in prophecy. Like, that didn't just happen one day. He was very, very gifted at the art of foresight and seeing what was going to come, and being able to predict it and write it down. And he gave a lot of prophecies. However, all of his prophecies started getting him in trouble, because there is a very, very nasty cult that exists in Tilia rather exclusively. It might have its fingers in Astalia as well, but it's a Talayan cult first and foremost, which is the cult of Sar. Oh God, what is his name? He's a really nasty god. It starts with an S. I'm struggling to remember what his name is. He shows up a lot in the Brunner the Bounty Hunter trilogy, or not trilogy, but omnibus, because Brunner has a lot of his stories in Talea. Sarkon? Sar something? But in any event, his cult didn't like Necrodomo. They did not like him at all. So they went after him because of his prophecies, because they considered him a heretic. And they chased him down, and they captured him, and they basically started torturing him. Because they wanted him to, like, stop doing it and admit everything he did was wrong and all this other crap. But when they captured him, Be'lakor showed up. And Be'lakor made his big play, and Be'lakor murdered all of the cultists and witch hunters and stuff, and basically, like, grabbed Necrodomo and was like, hey, I'm going to reveal to you a prophecy, you're going to write it down in this book, and it's going to be your magnum opus. It's going to be the greatest thing you've ever created. And you don't say no to Be'lakor, like, you just can't. Necrodomo wasn't an idiot. So he wrote everything Be'lakor showed him. Kind of like how, you know how, like, in the Bible, the whole thing with the end times revelations is that it's someone being shown revelations who then goes and, like, writes it all down. That was basically what Necrodomo did for the end times of Warhammer Fantasy. And it was so bad that he tore his own eyes out and a bunch of other stuff, and he died after he wrote it. And the book, thanks to the influence of Be'lakor, survived hundreds and hundreds of years and eventually found its way into Archaon's hands. And then he went crazy. Well, I wouldn't say Archaon went insane, because he was honestly in a very rational state of mind. He was just very upset by what he read. Poor pumpkin. How many more? 2 more! 2 more cities must fall! This was hundreds of years ago. What do I expect from the bloody son of Be'lakor? Yeah. Yeah, for those unaware, Be'lakor is actually Archaon's dad. Very unpleasant. Solkhan! Yeah! Thank you, Dreadnoughtless. Yes. Solkhan is the name of the god in Tilia, who is very not great. He is, to say that he is a rather extreme and nasty deity is an understatement. How many Everchosen existed before Archaon? 12. Archaon was the 13th Everchosen. An auspicious number. More like surrogate father? No, like blood. Be'lakor literally possessed the body of a... Be'lakor essentially orchestrated a Norscan invasion of Nordland, a little town of Nordland, and Be'lakor possessed the body of a Norscan marauder and raped Archaon's mother and impregnated her with his good old demon nastiness. Which is why it was a very not good pregnancy. Archaon's mother did not survive the birth. And Archaon's family abandoned him. Because his father was enraged that A, he was the baby of a monster, as far as he was concerned. And B, that merely by being born, he killed the love of his life and the mother of his other children. So they abandoned him. And gave him to a sister of Shalia because they were like, either you take this baby or we're going to kill this baby. Like that's all that's gonna happen. So the sister of Shalia was like, all right, and she took him and gave him or left him on the doorstep of a Sigmarite convent where he was raised by a father or a warrior priest, a retired warrior priest, but still. And then Archaon grew up being a very fervent Sigmarite, and he was actually probably one of the most badass Sigmarite Templars ever. Archaon was like a really badass Sigmarite Templar. He was great. But that pesky trial of faith, he just didn't pass it. Why would Sigmar make Archaon his chosen with this background? It wasn't really... I don't believe it was really a conscious choice. It was kind of like Archaon was a man who was given a pivotal decision to make, and he could go one of two directions. He could either give in to fate or he could defy it, and unfortunately he gave in to it. Archaon very deeply believed that him becoming Archaon was inevitable. It was like there was no way to avoid it. It was impossible. There was the only way it could have happened. But the thing with Sigmar is that when Archaon and Sigmar fight at the very, very, very end of the end times, the final literally the final fight we see, that's like an actual fight and not just people getting backstabbed. Frickin' Manfred, is when Sigmar battles Archaon. And when Sigmar and Archaon fight, Sigmar basically reveals that, you know, Archaon did have a choice. This wasn't destiny. Sigmar, him, is real, etc. And we did it! We won! Hooray! A little anticlimactic, but that's okay. That's usually how Horde campaigns tend to end, is a little anticlimactically, because you just kind of are blowing stuff up till you get to the end. What are we doing after this campaign? We're chatting for a little bit. At least for the moment. But, yeah, that's essentially the story with Archaon. That was fun! I enjoyed that. I definitely am I definitely think I prefer vanilla a bit. However, I had a good time with this, and we will definitely be revisiting SFO, but trying a different faction, and maybe like tossing some other mods on top of it. But yeah, this campaign feels like plenty done. Like I felt like I got the experience. Like we got to use a bunch of different units. We got to use all of the added units, all of them. We completed the tech tree with very minor exceptions. We tried out most of the various like super buffs you could get and all that. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I will say that I think my favorite part of my SFO run here was honestly the redone quest battle. Like the Fall of Man. I thought the Fall of Man quest battle was what I wish it was in live. Like, it was hard. Like, that was a difficult fight. I really, really liked how difficult it was. One of the things I really wish CA would do that they just are not doing, at least nowadays, is I really wish quest battles had, like, a sliding scale of how difficult you could make them. Because man, I would give anything for that. Because it would be so nice to have, like, difficult quest battles. Where instead of it just being like, brah, here's a penalty of, your penalty is that the enemy is basically unbreakable and they have stupid buffs. I wish it was like, no, they get more units and their units are higher ranked and they get access to higher tier units and the characters are like fully buffed with all their items. Like, that all would be kick-ass. I would love that. I don't know what we're gonna do next. We are not playing Total War Warhammer for the rest of the week. I can tell you that. I can confirm that now that I've looked at, done some back and forthing. So let me talk about the schedule for this week. We will definitely revisit Total War Warhammer next week. But tomorrow morning-ish. Yeah, tomorrow morning. Not ish, but tomorrow morning. So probably, I don't know an exact time. I'll put out an exact time before the end of today. But probably somewhere in the ballpark of like 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, I'm going to be playing Vermintide with Mandalore Gaming, which should be an absolute ball. I've played with him before privately, but this is going to be the first time we're playing together on stream. So I hope y'all are looking forward to that. That should be a lot of fun. I love talking to him. He's a super funny dude. And that's going to be awesome. He is, if you've not ever checked out Mandalore Gaming's channel, you should. He is a massive YouTuber that makes hysterical videos, and his review of Total War Warhammer is legendary. Like, it's the best review for Warhammer in the universe. So we'll be doing that. And then on Friday, we will be Vermintide 2. Not who plays Vermintide 1? Why would you play Vermintide 1? Who does that now? What? That would be like playing Warhammer, Total War Warhammer 1. Why? Why would you do that? Anyway, then on Friday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, I will be live streaming on both YouTube and Twitch my interview with the Return of Reckoning devs. And that's the Warhammer Fantasy MMO. That's also a private server, which that's going to be really exciting and a great opportunity for me and the channel, because not only is that going to be a live interview where I'll be representing the community and asking them questions and stuff, and talking with them about just Warhammer in general, but that interview will also be basically passed around to different websites, like websites that write articles on gaming news and stuff. So that's awesome. I'm really, really excited about. I'm really excited about both of those. This has been a great week. This is going to be a great week. I'm literally doing a great live stream every day, which I haven't been this busy in a hot while. Which, speaking of Return of Reckoning, we're going to be getting back into that pretty heavy very, very soon. I think I might live stream some of that tonight. I really want to finish Gunbad. And if I could finish, I think we could finish Gunbad before Friday. I would really like to do that if that's at all possible. So if any of the guildies are in chat, pay attention to the ROR chat. I would really like to. I'm probably going to play some Hades before I do anything else this afternoon. But this evening, like maybe somewhere between 6 to 8 hours from now, probably 6 hours from now, I would really like to do a Gunbad run if any of y'all are around. But I think we're just going to go ahead and call it. I'm happy to hang out here for a few minutes if anybody has like questions that do not take 1,000 years to answer. So if y'all just kind of want to hang out for a bit, we can do that. But yeah, this was fun. I will say, when it comes to the Beastmen, at least, I would definitely recommend playing the SFO Beastmen campaign over the vanilla one. I would absolutely suggest that. I don't know if that would hold up for the rest of the campaigns. I won't know till I try them. But when it comes to the Beastmen, I do think there's a little bit too much going on. But I like the added units. I like the expanded skill trees, though I think they're a little much. They're a little too big. Not enough skill points. Not enough skill points. What level is the Red Eye set for? Chips Ahoy, all, with one exception, all of the dungeon sets are level 40. So they're max level. Do I have any issues with how Sartosa was implemented? I wouldn't say I have any issues with Sartosa. I dearly wish that Sartosa had gotten more pirate units. I would have liked them to get a pirate hero of some type, and I would have loved for them to get like a great weapon unit. Because do y'all remember when it went live? They originally had like lumberjack guys that everyone made fun of. I kind of wish, because they were wielding boarding axes. I really wish they would bring them back, but like, you know, fix their animations. Do I? Sure. Just. Oh, yes, and a medium. Yeah. How does it line up with the PvP set in comparison? The dungeon sets are very comparable. But that being said, like, I would have really liked for Sartosa to get more living units. That would have been nice. Should Marienburg be a Vampire Coast faction? No, they should be an Empire faction. Like, they're fine as they are, as far as I'm concerned. If Throt does constantly eat, does it mean he can only use 2 hands at a time? Throt eats on the go. Like, he takes bites out of his enemies or out of his allies. Or, you know, I believe his sword is his least important weapon, because Throt has 3 arms, right? And in one arm he has a thing catcher, and another arm he has a whip, and in his third arm he has a sword. But the thing catcher and the whip are magic items, and the sword is not. So I imagine he sheaths his sword and eats. Do I think there's any chance of anti-chaos Norskins being implemented? No. Not in Total War. How do runesmiths and runelords know if a runic weapon is already made so it doesn't shame their pride? You know, that's a good question. To my knowledge, the rune of pride does not apply from one runelord to another. So, like, if you're a runesmith or a runelord, you can create a runic weapon that a different dwarf lord or a rune lord or runesmith has created, but you cannot create the same one you've made before twice. Yeah, that's how it works. The rune of pride is not, I cannot add the rune of stone onto this item because some other dwarf somewhere else might have done it. It's that I can only make this specific combination once in my life. Awesome, Gareth. Thanks, dude. Which character in the Warhammer universe would be the best at tennis? Probably an elf, because they're fast enough. Probably Tyrion. I'd probably put my money on Tyrion. Tyrion seems like he'd be badass at tennis. If the followers of Nagash got a DLC, who would their 4 legendary lord and unique units be outside of Morngul's? Well, they wouldn't have Morngul's. They would have Morghast. I think Morghast are what you're thinking of. I wouldn't actually give them a ton of unique units. I think the cool thing for the legions, for the undead legions, which would probably, or the legions of Nagash, one of those, would be for them to be like a conglomerate of all the undead factions plus Morghast. As for who the legendary lords would be, I think the legendary lords for that faction would probably be Nagash, the Nameless. That's honestly probably it. I don't know who else you would put in there that really represents, like, all the undead. I'd probably just go with those two, to be honest. Do I think it's possible that Warhammer the Old World is a rework and retelling of the end times? I hope so. I can tell you this. Anyone, which a lot of people say this, so let me just get this out here, out in the air. Anyone who says with any form of confidence that Warhammer the Old World is the time of the three emperors is wrong. They are talking out of their butts. That is not correct. The evidence suggesting that it's the time of the three emperors is virtually non-existent and is so comically flimsy that anyone who suggests it should be shamed for just, like, talking out of their butt. Normally, I don't go out of my way to, like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, because it's rude. But when it comes to something like that, yeah, no, they are completely off base. What would the Lizardmen consider a victory in the long term? Wiping out all the Chaos races. And closing the gateways at the polar gates. At the polar, the North and South Pole. When does the Wood Elf DLC come? Sometime in December. Can Tyrion beat Malekith? He could. It would be hard, but he could. It would be a very even contest. Tyrion is definitely a more skilled combatant than Malekith, but Malekith has magic, which is a pretty good equalizer. How bad is Morthy as a parent? She's the worst. Didn't we see a split? I'll have to make a video on it. The map they've showed us of the Empire does have a couple names on it, but the problem is the names do not correspond to the three emperors, with the exception of one, which is Magritta in Marienburg. But that it's not the, like, correct Magritta. It's just Magritta when it's supposed to be Magritta the something. And also, if you look at the map, they have borders drawn in, and there are, the way they've drawn up the borders, there are more areas than there are listed factions. And the factions that are listed also do not correspond to the factions that were major in the time of the three emperors. And some of the names are just, like, completely wild. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, there's Sigismund, so that has to be Emperor Sigismund. Well, no, because it shows Sigismund over the city of Middenheim, which seems to be a Middenland or Middenheim faction, whereas Sigismund was from Reichland, Emperor Sigismund. Also, Emperor Sigismund lived hundreds of years apart from all the other guys, and he was killed by during the invasion of Gorbad Ironclaw. Like, and also, like, Kislev is clearly going to be a really important faction in all of this, because we're getting to see the Ice Guard of the Tsarina, and they're going to have Bearcav, and I'm not even sure whether Kislev had a Tsar or a Tsarina during that time, but they certainly were not important. Is there a reason Black Orc Shamans can't exist? It has to do with what the Chaos Wars did to them. Tsunami, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, whether or not Games Workshop respects the lore they've written in the past that's true. That's a toss-up. Would the Lizardman victory include... orcs would have to be wiped out. The very first... One of the first major wars the Lizardmen fought was against the Greenskins. Who would I say is the best general in the Empire? Karl Franz. After Karl Franz, Kurt Helborg. Alright, my dudes. I think that's going to be good for me. I appreciate you all coming by. This was a lot of fun. The completed playlist of all of the all the streams, which there's only 3 of them, will be up. I think this campaign took us about 10 or 11 hours in game, So that's pretty solid. That's good time, I think, for a Mortal Empires campaign. So, yeah, thank you all very, very much for watching. This was a great time. I hope you all have a lovely day. If you'd like to hang out with me, later today, I will be going live on twitch.tv/loremaster of Sotek to play some Hades. So it won't be Warhammer, but, you know, you can hang out with me. You could talk to me about Warhammer if you'd like. So if you haven't already, go check out my Twitch channel and follow me on there, because I will be streaming some Hades on there later today, because we're almost at the end. And I'm hoping I can push through the end today. Probably will get on in about like an hour. Somewhere in that ballpark, maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes. But I'd love to see y'all there. And if I don't see you till tomorrow for some Vermintide, then I'll see you then. I hope you all have a lovely day wherever you are in the world. A lovely night, morning, day, whatever it is for you. And I'll see you around. Thanks for watching, guys.